You're listening to Fight Jokes About Everything, a Night Shift Radio original. For more information, visit nightshiftradio.com, and thanks for subscribing. So today we're talking about the year 2020 because it's over. We're now in January 1st, 2021. The abysmal year of 2020 has finally ended, let's say. Let's hope, at least. So 2020 was the year that the majority of the world discovered coronavirus, which, as we know, has been an absolute disaster. It's shut down the majority of the world. It's brought to entire economies to a stop. Put countries in jeopardy, unless you're like New Zealand and you're perfectly fine. It has shuttered multiple businesses. We're at almost 400,000 deaths here just in America alone, well over 1 million worldwide. It's crazy. 2020 brought that upon us. Now, although COVID was the major part of 2020 and what a lot of people are saying is, the big deal of it, 2020 also there was a lot of other stuff that happened in 2020. Now, I know personally, a lot of great things happened to me in 2020. So my partner and I, we bought a house together. We moved in, very wonderful place. I started a media network as part of this, Night Shift Radio. We're now at 8 active podcasts. We have a couple of projects on the way that are coming out this year that are not podcasts. So we've done a lot of cool things this year, and I've done a lot of cool things this year. I got to work on, the beginning of the year, I started off working on a film, and then later on the year, I worked on another film called Plan B, which will be out in the next year or so. So a lot of like personal good things happened to me in 2020. So it's hard for me, and I feel like it's probably hard for a lot of people to kind of think of it in that way. They're like, well, hey, this thing sucked, and maybe now I work from home, and my kids, are doing stuff from home, or maybe it's just me, and now I'm just stuck at home getting delivery all the time. And it may not seem too terrible because you may not be the one that's seeing the direct results of that, but again, tons of businesses have to completely shut down. Entire industry is just gone. The movie theater industry at this moment is just decimated because nobody's really going to the theaters, even worldwide, even in countries where it's really low. People really aren't going to the theaters very often. So a lot of these major chains, they'll be fine. But a lot of these major chains had to completely shut down. But a lot of small independent theaters had to completely shut their doors because of this, because nobody's going to the movies anymore. Now, that being said, this is a larger trend of something we'd seen. Theater participation has been low over the past couple of years. This is a trend that has happened more recently. It's not something new. We've seen this trend happening: rising theater prices as the result of low audience coming, low customers and stuff like that, and rising concession prices and all that sort of thing. Because the concessions are really where these theater companies make their money. I mean, that's not exactly like they're making it from going to the movies. You're paying, let's say conservatively, $12 to go see a movie. The majority of that pays for the licensing of that film. Each run you have to pay for, getting the product and having the time. So we've seen things like Wonder Woman 1984, which just came out on Christmas Day about a week ago, that, we're seeing things go more in that sense, where it'll release in theaters, but also streaming at the same time. Tenet was another great example that was figuring out the formula, where it did a run in theaters, but only for 2 or 3 weeks. And then it made its way to video on demand, which is where it's at now. And I feel like that's probably where you're going to see things from now on. So Warner Brothers is a really great example. Last year announced that all of their entire slate of films are going to be debuted both in theaters and on HBO Max the same day. And this is directly because of coronavirus. So, we're seeing those sort of things. And that's just one of the things in 2020. But don't forget, a lot of other things happened in 2020. We had crazy forest fires. We had an insane hurricane season earlier this year, and I'm talking about mainly in America. I cannot speak for most of the rest of the world. There was a very brief moment where in the beginning of the year, we were still kind of like teetering with like nuclear attacks from like North Korea. That was like a thing. And then maybe China was spying on us, but then maybe it wasn't. And then just recently, we had the the Russian government hack all of our finance systems, like the IRS and those sort of, or the National Treasury. That was a huge deal. Those are all things that happened in 2020. We lost Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Very sad. A lot of wild things happened in 2020. It was a crazy year for everybody. And now that it's over, I do want to point out that yes, 2020 was absolutely terrible, but we do want to remember that 2021, yes, it's a brand new year, and technically, if you want to be nerdy about it, it is the start of the 20s. So we are now back into the roaring 20s. Or whimpering 20s. It's probably more like the whimpering 20s. So even though we are starting a brand new year and stuff like that, a lot of the things that are left over from last year are going to carry over to this year. Coronavirus is still going to be a thing for the majority of 2021. Yes, vaccines are rolling out now in large quantities, and most of healthcare workers and super seniors and a few others are getting the vaccine now, and that's great that they're starting to get it over the past couple of weeks. And then, in the next couple of months, we'll see spring and probably more summer or late summer, we'll see regular citizens start having access to the vaccine. But wearing a mask, social distancing, buildings being shut down is still going to be a thing that's going to need to happen for a good portion of 2021, because it's not perfect yet. And that's the thing we need to remember is years, time is relative, as people say, time is relative. So yes, a calendar year is done, but the events of that year, Donald Trump's last presidency, packing court judges, and federal judges across the board, I think it was something I read, 120 judges. That effect and all the things that he's done, we're still going to feel those effects well after he is no longer in office in a couple of weeks. All of that stuff is still either needs to be massively undone and then rehauled and overhauled, or we're going to feel those effects for a very, very long time, and then Joe Biden's going to come in and be president, and he's going to do his things, but that's going to change a lot of things too. And, he's going to be a lot stricter on coronavirus than Trump is. He's following science as opposed to feelings. And so there's going to be a lot more fact-based things where it's going to be harsher of hey, no, for real, we're shut down because things are really bad and I don't want them to be worse. So a lot of things are going to be crazy. So I want you to remember, set your resolutions. Absolutely do that. At the start of a calendar year, it's a really great time to be yeah, you know what, this year I want to do this, but remember, you can set those resolutions anytime you want. I'm not exactly a motivational speaker or a self-help guru, but time is relative, and understanding that if there's something you want to accomplish, a goal or simple goals, even if it's hey, I want to lose 5 pounds. Cool. Whatever that goal is, you can set that anytime. You don't have to wait for January 1st. In fact, January 1st is probably the worst idea to set most times, because if you are in half of America, for the next 3 to 5 months, you are going to be covered in snow, and it's going to be very hard for you to accomplish some goals. I myself bought a treadmill, and I've been running on that a bit. So there's a goal. I've wanted to get more in fit, more specifically cardio. I'm terrible at cardio. I would die in Zombieland instantly. But whatever it is that your goal is, and just remember that 2020, the looming effects of 2020 are going to last through most of 2021. So what you need to do is focus on what you can do. You need to stay safe. You need to be socially distant, wear a mask, but just do that thing that you want to do, whatever it is. Hell, I started a media network in the middle of a global pandemic, at the height of the global pandemic, mind you. Everything was just shutting down, and me and the other 2 people from Night Shift Radio were hey, do you want to start a media network? And we're hell yeah, we do. Terrible time. Who starts a business in a global pandemic? We did. And now, again, 8 podcasts, 2 very big things on the way. We've been doing great. It's awesome. So just, you got to go out there and do it. Now, that being said, of course, luck plays in to that. You get lucky that people listen to your podcast or do your thing or read your book or watch your movie or listen to your music or watch your Twitch streams or whatever. And it is all about luck, but consistency is key. The more you do it, the more people are going to latch onto it. The more times you can deliver on a specific day every single time. It doesn't have to be every day. It could be once a week. That's fine. Once a month. That's fine. Whatever your cadence is, just stick to it. Set a schedule and stick to it. And that's the way. And this is true of all goals. If you have a weight loss goal and you're like, hey, I want to go running or do sit-ups or, eat this thing, to be like, cool, we'll set a schedule, even if it's a small schedule, even if it's a once or twice a week, set that schedule. And then that is your schedule. Every Wednesday and Friday I go running. Every Wednesday and Friday I go running. That's my cadence. I started slow because I'm terrible at cardio, and that was my cadence, and I've been sticking to it, and it's been great. So that being said, 2020 was an absolute hellscape of garbage fires and demons pooping into your face. But 2021, it's gonna be a little bit of the same for a while, but you know what? Eventually, everything will be better and back to some semblance of normality, whatever that is for you, or maybe you want a new normal. So push for that. But here it is. 2021 has now begun, and I wish you all luck in the brand new year. All right, thanks a lot for joining us, guys. Please don't forget to subscribe. And if you want to head to themichaelfight.com, you can check out for more information. Or, of course, Night Shift Radio. If you wanted to follow me on social media, I'm at TheMichaelFight, and on Instagram, just Michael Fight. So check me out, and thanks for subscribing. And again, we will see you on Monday.